Hey y'all, it's my review for Married to Medicine, Season 10 Reunion, Parts 2 and 3. Sorry for the delay, and I have to put these two together, but yeah, life be lifing, and I was on vacation. I got back in New York the other day, so I just been hitting the ground running, so yeah, let's get into it. So we left off on Part 1, where Quad is telling Jackie, "You know I didn't do that, Jackie! How could you think I could ever do something like that?" Jackie is saying that, well, Quad, you're a great person, but I don't know you. You know, like you have your friends and you don't really call back, you don't text back. Cause she asked her, like, how long does it take for you to return a text? And Quad's like, well, I'm bad with texts. And how long it takes to return a phone call. So yeah, Jackie has a point. You're not really there for the group unless you film it. Jackie tells Quad that she doesn't feel important to her. And Quad says that she's going to make right on this, and going forward, since they both want a friendship with each other, that she's going to do better. Now, since this reunion has aired, I wonder where Quad is now with her friendship with the other ladies. So next scene, we see the husbands arrive in the set because their segment is coming up in a few. My hand will be on the fast forward button. Now, personally, I prefer when the husbands are out there with the ladies at the same time. I don't think it's necessary for Andy to talk to the husbands without the women there. There go Dr. Alicia's husband. Every time I see his beady ass face, my stomach turns. So next we're in Simone's dressing room and Quad comes in to talk to her. She tells her that there's more to talk about between them, and even though it hurt hearing this information from Simone, she says she hears her and also thanks her for being there for her when that tragic event happened. Now, I remember when social media was going in on Simone for what she said to Quad, even though I thought she had the best intentions. And now seeing this scene where Quad's actually thanking her for being there and saying that she wants to have a friendship with her, I'm like, why is everybody more mad than Quad? See, again, people are attaching their traumas to reality shows. Quad then brings up the Napa trip where they sent her home packing, and she said watching it made her mad all over again. And she says she wants it all. She wants to move forward and have a friendship with Simone, like a real one. And they hug it out. That's why I'm like, why is everybody mad at Simone? Also, for the people that like to argue, again, please just disagree respectfully in the comments. Do not get mad at me because my opinion is different from yours. So the ladies are back on stage now. It looks like everything's more calm for now. And Quad is hearing the ladies and where they're coming from and vice versa. Everyone's cordial. Quad wants that season 11 contract, but we'll see. We shall see. So next they're on Sweet Tea's reel for the season, everything involving her. I think she had a real full season. I would love to see her back. I don't know why so many people dislike Sweet Tea. She has not done anything to deserve the bullying that she gets online, you know, from cigarettes like Carlos King and from the cast. It's not like she's a mistress. She may be a fool and a little green behind the ears, but I don't think that warrants the hate that she gets. The first question she gets is about her health and how she's doing. She says that she isn't infertile just yet, but she's definitely going to keep trying. But I think she's in the period where, you know, she just had surgery, so she can't try right now. So now we're talking about all the shade that Quad threw at Sweet Tea throughout the season, about her fake designer, how she looks, how she talks, etc. Again, I don't know why Quad is shading her. I thought one woman's trash was another woman's treasure. They're going back and forth now. Sweet Tea is asking Quad, like, why are you always talking about me? Quad is doing her little, you know how she does those inflections, like she's talking like this, sweetheart, like I've posed a question, like that. Yeah, so they're going back and forth, yelling at each other. Andy, he takes some fruit off of the display and starts eating it. I'm personally on Sweet Tea's side. Like, they were bullying her all season. I don't think anything she did warranted all the shade that Quad threw at her. If anything, Quad needs to be mad at her cast, because wasn't it her good friend Heavenly who pushed to have Sweet Tea on the show in the first place? Oh, they're still going back and forth. Sweet Tea's like, why say anything about me? Move on! Finally, one of the ladies speak up for Sweet Tea. Toya asks Quad, well, why did you say that she doesn't fit in the group? Like, you know, Quad was talking about her all the time. Heavenly chimes in and said all of them say she doesn't fit in the group. I mean, out of the two of them, only one is married to medicine now. Quad has misplaced anger and she needs to be mad at production and her cast. I also find it odd that Andy asked Toya, well, how would you feel if Eugene divorced you and brought his new wife on the show? I mean, Andy, I'm sure you have full jurisdiction to make sure Sweet Tea wasn't on the show, to make sure Quad was happy. You wanted the mess just as bad as the cast and the audience. But anywho, Toya answers the question and says that would make the show great. And just how Eugene will have a new wife, I'm gonna have a new hot man behind me. I hear that. So then we move on to what Heavenly has said about Sweet Tea and her marriage. Andy calls her out for saying that Dr. G is old as dirt and they're 2 years apart. So then Andy asks Sweet Tea about her allegations that Heavenly's husband cheated on her. And she's asking, do you believe that? Then we cut to the men watching the ladies, and Damon asks Dr. G, do you think I'm a cheater? And Dr. G says, well, I don't know what you do. And they're going back and forth. It's a yes or no question. Curtis even jumps in and says, that's kind of evasive. Cheater, you need to sit back. So then it looks like the men are egging him on to say yes or no. So then Greg says no. That whole scene was just weird to me, especially the handshake afterward. We cut back to the stage and Sweet Tea is just saying how Heavenly's always came for her marriage or trying to give her advice. She asked her, do you want to be my mom or something? Heavenly says Sweet Tea told her how controlling Gregory is and she was just being concerned. I mean, if she was so concerned, why would she talk about it to everybody but Sweet Tea? Now, Sweet Tea did say Greg was controlling, but her main mistake was trusting Heavenly with that information. So now we're on the topic of Heavenly talking about Sweet Tea's fertility issues, and Heavenly's just trying to make it seem like she was oh so concerned for her. I kind of saw it as her just collecting ammunition anytime her and Sweet Tea went at it. Like anytime Sweet Tea was vulnerable with Heavenly, she threw all that shit back in her face. Heavenly is like, well, if it was my issue, I would have known earlier. But Sweet Tea's going back and forth with her on that. And it looks like Heavenly's getting annoyed and she gives her like a threat, but you about to get it. Sweet Tea, she ain't making me proud right now. Like she should say, well, bitch, what the fuck you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What you gonna do? Like something. One of these days, someone is rightfully going to put Heavenly in her place. So the whole Heavenly versus Sweet Tea, I was looking forward to this because I was like, yes, this is Sweet Tea's moment to really read Heavenly into the ground. And it's like, I'm not getting anything from either of them. So I'm a little disappointed right now. Like there's so much ammunition, Sweet Tea, and you had all this time, so many weeks, months to get ready for this reunion. So now that segment is over and now they're bringing Dr. Alicia out on the couch. So the segment starts and first they're talking about Simone's statement saying that like how it was like a weight lifted when Quad left Napa. Quad said she didn't appreciate that comment as if she was some type of evil entity or dark cloud. She said she is a nice, sweet, optimistic person, and Simone chimes in when she wants to be. Alicia now is in the hot seat and she's being asked about her archaic husband. And of course, throughout this segment, you know she's gonna stand by him. So as Alicia's spewing her bullshit, we're just gonna move on to the next question. I feel like this segment is a messy one and just calling out the ladies of what they said about other people on the cast. This time it's Heavenly and all what she had to say about Toya, how she never worked a day in her life, she's lazy. Now, while some of that is true about Toya, I really do think Heavenly is jealous of Toya because Toya has a soft life. Heavenly does not. She had to trap her man. Heavenly then retracts one of her statements saying that Toya has worked a day in her life, but the bitch still lazy. Now, if I was Toya, I would have told Heavenly, well, since you're taking Ozempic, got a tummy tuck, as well as lap band surgery, and still having problem fitting into clothes, then you're the lazy one. But all Toya has to say is, I get the job done without looking like I work hard. So we're moving on, and we're halfway through part 2, y'all, and I'm kind of just like, looking at my phone, and it's just not as riveting. Like, part 1 started off so good, and now we're just going like this. So now the ladies are being asked about their kids, starting with Simone. She gets a shady question from Andy about her kids not paying rent. She gives an update on that. And then Toya talking about sex with her kids. She says she has no issue with that. Side note, the more I look at Toya on the couch, the more I don't mind this little Miss Muffet dress she has on. Okay, enough with the fluff talk. Can we get back to the drama and the mess, please? So now Andy calls out Sweet Tea for saying that Heavenly is hiding a grandchild. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, she's also hiding a gay son, allegedly. But anyway, they're talking about the infamy you can see in her cabinet in one of the episodes. I guess, some Bravo fan had an eagle eye, but she's saying that Damon is like allergic to milk or something and he uses the Enfamil in his cereal. I'm not sure if I buy that explanation. Y'all let me know if y'all do. So then Heavenly is asked about her relationship with her sister. Then surprisingly, she thanks Sweet Tea for saying on an Instagram live that her mama is in hell because when she said that, she said her sister called her up. She says because of that instance, they're now talking regularly. And I'm just like, is that all it took? Really? Not because you're a better person, but because she heard a stranger talk about y'all mom. Now wait a minute, Andy. He tells Heavenly that there's something different about her. And she says it's therapy. Now that's a crock of shit. Like Heavenly has always been the same Dr. Demon the dentist to me. Did y'all see a different Heavenly this season? I sure as hell didn't. All right, so now Andy's with the men of Married to Medicine and the ladies are sitting in the back watching. Now, I will shout out Andy for the shade he threw at Dr. Jackie's husband. So Curtis, you flying in from the DR or Atlanta? So the first question goes to Greg, and of course it's about Phaedra and what was the extent of their relationship while they were dating, and was the $4,000 a month requirement from Phaedra true or not? He says it was true. See, my thing is, they could have just had the men out there with the women and had Greg answer this question with Phaedra out there already. Because in part 3, they asked the question again. What's the point? He's then asked if anything happened between him and Phaedra. And then he says, in his mind. Whew. If I was Sweet Tea, I would just be so embarrassed. All right, next question for the men is, what was the hardest part, just filming this show in the 10 years you've been on? I don't care. Fast forward. Next question, how the men handle drama differently from the women? Fast forward. Oh, so they're talking about the bachelor party. I forgot all about that. That was at the beginning of the season. If I take my pants down, they ain't coming back up. Oh, y'all. It's the Best Fiends team. They should have just made this 2 parts. They really could have. So now we're on the bigoted male chauvinist Dr. Alicia's husband. Of course, he's saying what some of the things he said on the show is a joke. He's a joke. Not him being an advocate for husbands suffering in silence. Sir, shut the fuck up. So I will say the best thing to come out of this segment is Dr. Eugene calling out the chauvinist on his ignorant statements. And he says, just because she's my equal does not make me less of a man. And the fact of the matter is, Eugene is the only husband to really speak out against Alicia's husband. Oh, he sounds so stupid. Jeez. Now he's talking about making decisions in the relationship and the man should have the final say. Men should have 51%. The woman should have 49%. Whew, fast forward. We cut to the ladies watching in the back, and of course Dr. Alicia dumbass is on her husband's every word, just caping for everything he's saying. Nope, I don't care about him coming to America and this culture shock. Fast forward. So now they get to him talking about not going down on the woman. He said he was not joking, and now he tries to blame it on him being Jamaican, not Nigerian. Stop trying to put it on a culture, sir. That is you. Thank you, Eugene. You can't diss what you never had. I'm surprised any woman is with him. I'm glad he found a dumbass equal. Whew, so thank God that segment is finally over. The women and men are about to go on stage. We're at the final 2-minute mark, so I guess the rest of part 3 is going to be the men and the women. So now we cut to the ladies and the men on stage, and everyone notices an empty chair behind Phaedra, and they're all wondering. It looks like no one knew that Apollo was coming, and they're playing all this dramatic music. I think production really thought we gave a fuck. If Apollo showed up, no, we don't. Andy Cohen is the only one who cares because he wants to get into Apollo's pants. Or he wants Apollo in his pants. I don't know. But yeah, that's where part 2 ends. Let's get to part 3. All right, so the last segment starts, and Phaedra says that she invited Apollo here, and they see each other all the time. There's no taboo between them. Side note, Apollo does look good, and he indeed can still get it. I will say that shirt of his is very tight, like the button is fighting for its life. Child, Andy is drooling. Phaedra also says she invited Apollo because a lot of ladies were asking about him, especially Toya during her son's birthday party. So we're being updated on Apollo's life for some reason on Married to Medicine, something he has nothing to do with. But he's remarried, of course we know that. She's fine with him being at this reunion. Phaedra is asked what is her relationship with Apollo's new wife, and she said there is none. So we found that their relationship is better. He's over at Phaedra's house all the time, but he's not allowed inside. I mean, of course the mastermind Phaedra is calling the shots, or else his ass would be right back in the clink. So then he's asked about his relationship with Todd and Candy, particularly Todd. He said you saw him last week, and I think he said that Todd was apologetic for interfering. I don't know. So then he's asked about him and Joe Giudice being in the same prison. He said they just laughed it off to each other. I mean, they weren't friends there, of course, and they had their own crews. And then Apollo saying that he was put in the SHU, i.e. solitary confinement, for a while. And I would actually like to know, why was he put into solitary confinement? Does anybody know in the chat? Let me know. So now the heat is off Apollo, and now Cecil is being asked a question about what he said regarding Sweet Tea being an upgrade. And of course he's backpedaling and pussy popping. So now that Phaedra and Greg are on the same stage, the question is asked again about the $4,000 a month. And it's pretty awkward because Apollo is right behind her and they're discussing when Greg and her dated. Phaedra's doing her good lying, like the kind she did on Traders, asking, now when did I ask you for $4,000? I don't believe you, Phaedra. I totally believe Dr. G on this one. So as Greg is breaking this down, I love how Apollo inserts his explanation for it. So she's giving you a financial portfolio and she's giving you her expectation. Okay, we can move on. I've heard enough about this topic. It's actually very funny she had this requirement for Greg, but not for Apollo. But then again, look at Apollo and look at Greg. So now they're talking about did anything intimate happen between Greg and Phaedra. If it did, this shit happened, what, 20, 30 years ago? No one cares. Oh my God, Dr. G, stop talking. The more you talk, you embarrass your wife. Like, why is he saying what ifs with Phaedra? Like he should have lied. Can we move on? I'm gonna move on. Fast forward. So now we move on to Toya and Eugene's interesting relationship dynamic. Eugene is happy and he is happy making Toya happy. Leave them alone. So now they're talking about Sweet Tea and Dr. G's relationship dynamic, and it looked like she's happy. And of course they played that clip, access to the money. If it's anything I'm gonna remember Sweet Tea for, it's gonna be for that. So then we move on to Quad's comments about Toya and Eugene especially, and Quad takes this time to apologize to them. Quad is playing the game. She wants to come back next season. She wants that Bravo check. And I don't blame her. So now we get to the couples trip segment. So of course they bring up Hilton Head, and Heavenly was explaining that she never thought that Simone was being malicious when she did it, but she was telling her to listen to Jackie if she's uncomfortable with it, and she calls Simone hard-headed. And Simone says, well, that's the thing. I want to hear this from Jackie. Jackie can speak for herself. She doesn't need you. I agree with Simone. I mean, Heavenly already drove a wedge between their friendship, and I think Heavenly does not mind doing that. Simone said, I don't give a fuck about your feelings. I kind of want to watch this uncensored just so I could hear Simone curse. Andy then asked Simone, does she think Heavenly was being sincere? Simone is getting louder. She said, it doesn't matter. This is my friend since the 90s. I don't need her to speak for my friend. Ironically, Jackie has still not said a word. It's still Simone and Heavenly arguing. Alicia, shut up. No one wants to hear from you. Fast forward. So Curtis speaks up and says this happened 7 years ago. And he says with this group, he knows that it would have been a topic of conversation. By who? I would think Heavenly out of all the people, the one that's supposed to be in your wife's corner. So Sweet Tea is then asked why she was pissed off that Jackie didn't want to talk about her relationship. And I kind of understand her explanation. Like, she was scrutinized or whatever, and what, Jackie gets a pass? Yeah, I mean, I see her perspective. Now, did that mean she had to cuss Jackie out? I don't think so. So now they get to Dr. Alicia and her husband's relationship dynamic, and they asked Toya's opinion for obvious reasons because she was kind of going in on, well, not going in, but just she seemed very critical. It seemed like what she said wasn't so shady. She just said she hoped Dr. Alicia is getting what she wants out of the relationship. And Dr. Alicia responds, well, I don't complain about my husband's penis size. Crickets. I mean, I guess that was her version of shade. And Eugene, being a good sport he is, he tells Andy, you know what, Andy, I'm just going to whip it out so we can measure it. That's a man who is very confident in himself. I really hope Dr. Alicia and her husband aren't invited back, but I have a feeling that they are because they're just so polarizing. And knowing Bravo, they love the social media engagement, whether it's positive or negative. See, this is what gets on my nerves because they're asking the same questions they asked to the men. They're presenting it now in front of the women. They could have saved us an entire segment and just made part 2 an extra 30 minutes long. So they're talking about the oral sex argument, and Dr. Alicia just gives this bogus excuse about her being like a dentist and it dealing with it being oral. Girl, shut up. Just shut up. You sound as dumb as your husband. After she finished explaining whatever she just said, everyone just starts laughing. So they move on, and of course they've been doing clips throughout the reunion of like the past 10 years. And Andy poses to the ladies who are physicians, like, when they started the show, were you nervous that your practice was going to be affected? And Simone says no at first until Mariah and Toya started fighting. And we actually get a flashback of the fight. I'm like, you can't do a clip show without showing that fight because that is what put Married to Medicine on the map. Because the second moment after that was, let's talk about your lesbian relationship, bitch. So Andy, keep pointing out this statement Phaedra made, saying that if she was on this franchise, her and Apollo probably would still be together. I highly doubt that, and why would she be on Married to Medicine? Maybe he just meant if she had these group of friends. I don't know, I don't think so. I think they probably would have divorced regardless. And y'all notice the light shade she's throwing at Housewives of Atlanta, like real relationships? So they're asking a lot of fluff questions. I try to just skip over those. They're then asking Greg about his relationship with Sweet Tea and then having Quad on the show. He's just saying he's happy with his new wife and just saying a lot of things that he loves about her. And then Andy asks Sweet Tea, is there hope for her in Heavenly? Heavenly is like, it's possible. But Sweet Tea says she don't know. And rightfully so. I mean, Heavenly talking about her like a dog on social media to Carlos King, like in her confessionals. Like, she's not to be trusted. So I don't blame her. But then this starts an argument between the two. They're going back and forth. It's getting to the point where they're threatening each other. I don't know why Heavenly thinks she'll be able to whip Sweet Tea ass. Like, Sweet Tea will drag her. Let's just be honest. Not Heavenly saying, I'll give it to you, bitch. Let's go. Do it. Do it. Heavenly then throws Jackie into it. Of course she's not serious. Everyone's just laughing. So now the segment is over. The men are dismissed. And hopefully they gonna wrap this up because we have about 15 minutes left and I'm ready for it to be over. So we ain't got that much time left, but it's still a lot of fluff questions and people asking about the shade. I'm just like, oh man, I'm over it now. I think this reunion was one part too long because I'm checked out, just to be honest, y'all. So now they're asking Sweet Tea what she thought about Phaedra and Toya shading her during her dress fitting. It definitely felt like body shaming, how they were saying she had no ass. And Phaedra's now trying to weasel her way out of it, doing the Southern Belle shtick, saying that, oh, I didn't really mean it like that. Let somebody talk about the head doctor's body. I'm sure she wouldn't like it. So now they're going down the line who had surgery. Like, yeah, they are grasping for straws now. All right, some more fluff. The ladies calling out each other in their shade. Phaedra got some good shade in on Heavenly, trying to criticize her house. She's like, well, I traveled the world and I have eclectic taste, so I wouldn't expect Heavenly to understand my taste. Whew, so finally, we are at the end of the road. Let's wrap this up, Andy. All right, so they're just doing around the room, like what everybody learned this season, blah, blah, blah. I am not going through everybody's. So we get to Phaedra, though, and she says she enjoyed her time. And I'm just like, should she come back next season? I mean, even this season, I feel like it was stunt casting because we didn't see who into medicine that she was talking to. Like, I don't know. I don't think the show needs Phaedra. All right, we got the blah, blah, blahs out the way. Andy then proposes a toast. The ladies can either choose wine or brown liquor. Everybody chose wine. And I think it was Toya's wine, which was nice. And that is where the episode ends. Finally. So overall with the reunion, I'm going to have to give it a... Ooh, it's like a B- or C+, y'all. Like, they started off so good on part 1, but part 2 and 3, it really could have been together because it feels like in the last 20, 15 minutes that they were just running out of shit to talk about and then just going over things that wasn't necessary. As far as the season as a whole, I definitely enjoyed it. I thought it was one of the best seasons of Married to Medicine. So I would give it like a B+, A- for the season. Probably B+. So yeah, y'all let me know what y'all thought about parts 2 and 3 of the reunion, or just the reunion as a whole. And allegedly, according to Dr. Demon the dentist, everybody got their contracts, including Phaedra, including Alicia. So it would be interesting seeing season 11. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, with that, because I have to go and edit all this shit, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all for the next episode. Bye!